What's up, y'all? I'm Josh Jayhawk Hawkins.
And I'm Tim This That. Today we're going to be reviewing the TV show Deadly Class on Sci-Fi. And we're going to be doing one of these for every episode that comes out. So if you like what you see, follow our channel, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. If you like the song at the beginning, that's our band, The Lion of Wall Street. So we're going to leave a link in the description. Thank you. So check us out on Spotify and all that.
Right on. This particular episode is about episode 1. So right off the bat, let's just jump into this, okay?
Yeah, and there will be some spoilers here. So if you haven't seen it, you got to go watch it and then come back and check us out afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just talking about the episode, the general mood, everything about it. So right off the bat, the episode starts very intense.
The whole show is intense.
That's
true. Really the vibe that you get from the whole show.
Yeah, and there's comedic breaks, every now and then, and especially in the later episodes, which we'll possibly get into. But we're not going to be talking about any of those episodes today. But
this is strictly episode 1.
Yeah, there is good comedic breaks every now and again. I'm sorry, my dog is once again just...
You probably saw his tail walk right by the screen.
He's just wandering around here as he does. And by the way, he was nowhere to be found until we pressed record and started doing this. But anyways, so the episode starts off very intense. Also, I do want to point out the casting is incredible.
The cast is insane. Like every single person is just like, when you watch something that's great and you just say that person was born to play that role. Everybody feels like that.
It really does. And I'm an avid fan of the comic book that this is based on. So I've been waiting for this television show for quite some time. I'm talking like a year or so that I've been really talking about this, and I'm doing that thing where I Google, when does it come out? When you know what I mean? Like, when is the premiere date? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've been waiting for this for a good while.
I've been bothering him about this, and you have to watch this, you have to read this. So I have read every single one of the comic books, and so I feel like I bring a different take to this, and it's also great.
As being a fan of the comics as well as the now the TV show.
So when I say that these characters, they really look like they're characters, I mean it. You know what I mean? Like they really do. Especially someone like Maria and Saya, who are probably my two favorite characters. When you look at these characters, they really look like that. You know what I mean? They did a very good job in the casting.
They also did a great job with the score, the music, the soundtrack, everything.
Yeah, from the soundtrack
fitting
to the score itself is very, very good. Depeche Mode is one of the earlier tracks in the thing. I have a couple of notes here, but I believe they are the first track that they play in the episode is Depeche Mode. It's Behind the Wheel. And it really just sets this really... dark tone to the show.
Yeah, like it's set in the 80s, so it's all time correct music.
Yeah. You see
period correct.
The main character is a character named Marcus. Mm-hmm. He is homeless, and that is a big part of the opening stuff is, and later on we go into he's being recruited into this school, and the school, to try and break this down for you, it's going to be hard to do this, because there's a lot to explain. But
it's a pretty vast story. It's the universe that we're dealing with. It's pretty big. There's a lot happening.
Yeah. So this school is, first off, the show is set in the 80s, so that's why we get this incredible soundtrack. And it's also set to like very counterculture 80s. Mm-hmm. So you get these really like post-punk and punk and hardcore bands. Which, speaking of hardcore and the cast, this is a good segue.
With Rollins.
Exactly. Henry Rollins is one of the teachers in the school, which I think adds such legitimacy to...
Yeah, it really does, because like punk music in general is a big part of the story. Like a lot of the main characters are punks themselves.
Mm-hmm. Then we go into Day of the Dead backdrop.
So kind of like a block party kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. So it's set on November 1st, which is Day of the Dead. And that's when you really get to see the character Maria, whom, and I think I said this just a minute ago, but Saya and Maria are probably my favorite characters, and especially the relationship between the two of them. So you get these really incredibly beautiful shots of Maria, and then when
Yeah,
Saya,
and she'll have the full like Day of the Dead like makeup and outfit and everything.
yeah,
So she looks like, because like when you're watching it, she looks like she's a part of the festival. She doesn't really look like one of the characters. Kind of creeps up on you. Kind of comes out of nowhere.
yeah. So essentially, this group of characters come to save Marcus and bring them to their school. The school is basically made to train future cartel members. Every gang that you can possibly think of, from the mob, the cartel, to Kuroki Syndicate in Japan.
The list goes on.
The list goes on.
Yeah, it's just big important like mob boss type.
Are all
their
sending
children.
their children there to become trained to become expert assassins. And the school is called King's Dominion. So they are all helping Marcus to come to King's Dominion because he has a sort of reputation for something he did. I'm not going to give that away. I'm not going to discuss what it is that he did.
I mean, he was living in like a boys' home kind of thing, and the story goes in to tell you why, like how he lost his parents, like his parents died, and, so you get to learn a lot about Marcus and like why he is the way he is, why he's untrusting, why he's everything, and of course why he's homeless, which is a big part of his character,
Yeah.
and it's actually really great because it goes into a comic, like it's a live action show, then it goes into like a comic.
So the writer is on the
Or
comic
animation,
book. The writer on the comic book is a guy named Rick Remender, and then the artist is a artist named Wes Craig, and they keep the style of Wes Craig whenever they pan to the animated portions of the television show.
Yeah, like it looks like if you read the first book, which I have right here, you'll see that the artwork is the same in here as it is on the program, like when it gets into that part.
So the character Saya, another point that I want to point out that was just such an amazing shot was Saya pulls up right on her motorcycle in order to basically save Marcus in this specific instance that they're
It's
at.
kind of like almost like a kidnapping, really.
Yeah,
because he doesn't really know what's happening.
But he gets on the motorcycle with her. But this is actually that character. Her name is Saya. And as you can see, this is actually Deadly Class #1. That one's actually signed by Rick Remender. I actually have 2 copies of that exact book. One
He's a big
isn't
fan.
signed. Yeah, as you can see, I'm a large fan. And then one that is signed by him. But that shot is actually in the comic book, and it's incredible. They get a good, great, amazing shot of Saya pulling up on her bike, and it is in the actual comic book. So there's a bunch of amazing things. Master Lin is the basically principal of this school, and you could see where he really knows what he's doing and how he wants to get Marcus into this school, and how he knows exactly how to exploit him into doing so. He knows that Marcus is devoid of any family. He knows that how much Marcus wants to belong in a situation. And so he, when he sees Marcus, he knows how to exploit that and to try to convince Marcus to come. Even though Marcus is very standoffish.
And you get all this. How long is the episode? An hour, I believe, right? You get all this in that time. Like, you can go in not knowing anything about this, and throughout the whole first episode, you kind of know everything. You know what King's Dominion is. You know who's attending there, and you know why they're attending there.
Right off the bat, you see characters like Saya, Maria, Marcus, Willie, Lex, and Billy. All of these characters. And then you slowly are introduced to other characters like Petra and Victor, and all of these other characters, these smaller characters, start to become a little bit more important as the show goes on. Another thing I want to point out is like the small things they put in there. Like there's a pan and they show like a Faces of Death VHS.
Yeah, like one of them was holding the copy of the tape. And if you're familiar, Faces of Death was a big popular thing in maybe the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, and I think it was almost like
it was just a very horrible thing. So don't look it up. It was just
don't
like
go watch Faces
like
of
a
Death.
real murders and death and stuff caught on tape, and they would, whoever it was back in the day, would put it out as like a VHS. People could buy it. I don't even know how. I don't even know how I know. I just remember somebody had a copy when I was a kid or something. But they had that in there. Both of us saw that. Like, oh my gosh, they're holding the faces of death. It just goes to show how, like, these kids, like, they're 16, 17, 18 years old going to this school, but they're crazy murderers. You know, they've been around this stuff their whole life. So much so that they're walking around with copies of this tape. You know, like, that's the kind of people they are.
Also, I want to say that another thing that I really love about this comic book, just on a personal level, and I don't want to go too long on this, but the character Marcus is half Nicaraguan and half white. You know, he literally says, "My father was Nicaraguan and my mother was from Kansas." You know, I think that was almost the exact quote there. I could be paraphrasing, but and growing up, I'm actually half Mexican and half white, and there is this. It immediately sets him up to where you don't belong. Even his race.
Because they when he's in the school, he's getting introduced. You see that there are cliques. There's like the white kids, the Mexican kids, the so on and so on. You know, and
there's basically a group of white nationalists, and at one point they see him and they call him like a wetback or something like that.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't belong with the Mexican group either because
it's too white for the Mexicans, too Mexicans for the whites. You know,
technically he's Nicaraguan though.
Well, for lack of a better word, you know what I mean. It's like
So I mean, and that's a lot of how I felt growing up. You know what I mean? Like just specific instances where you know it felt I didn't know how to identify myself, and so I can really relate to why he always has this constant inner point that it's like I don't belong anywhere. Being biracial all immediately sets you up like that, and I'm very fortunate in that I look white. You know what I mean? So I didn't have to deal with it as much as other people who are biracial do, and so I acknowledge that privilege. But at the same time, I definitely dealt with it in that you know I saw Mexicans who definitely treated me because I didn't speak Spanish like, oh, you're not Mexican. And then when I wanted to hang out with like kind of like preppy white kids and in like middle school, I was definitely treated like, oh, you're an outsider. And there was actually specific instances.
And that's a good word for it because that's how Marcus feels. Like an outsider. Like, I don't belong here, I don't fit here, so I'm not gonna do this. You know, and that's kind of like, he doesn't just show up to King's Dominion like, oh, this is home now.
Yeah.
You know?
I also want to point out the sexual tension between Marcus, Maria, and Saya is right off the bat, episode 1. They really kind of immediately set you up to show there's going to be some sort of triangle here. There's going to be some sort of, you know, between the two of them liking him and who has what motive and why.
Yeah.
You know, they immediately set that up, and it's very, very interesting. And you know, there's very good chemistry. And I can't talk about the cast enough. You know,
yeah, for sure.
The chemistry between all of these characters is just immediate. You know, I'm not sure what else we want to get into here.
Yeah, we don't want to give away too much, of course. You know, just basically on a review standpoint, it's fantastic. Everything about it is great from start to finish. It's extremely entertaining, and this is coming from somebody who hasn't read the comics. And from someone who is not only a fan of the comics, but a collector of the comics.
Let me kind of sum it up for you in a way. Imagine in 80s like teen drama, you know, like Breakfast Club or any of those, and then throw on like a Japanese revenge film on top of it, or like anything that's just like a hyper violent film thrown right in the middle of it with, you know, revenge and motive and all these other things thrown right on top of this kind of 1980s like.
The kids will walk around in school with samurai swords on their back or like a machine gun in their waist or whatever, you know.
So it's really incredibly interesting mix. So I can't wait to watch more episodes of this show. I hope we didn't give too much away.
Yeah, well, we acknowledged that there was going to be some spoilers here if you hadn't seen it, but we didn't want to give away everything, of course.
Yeah.
Just more of our review on it, our take on it, and the first episode catches you. You can't turn it off, and I mean I couldn't say any more good things about it. It's just perfect.
I'm going to point out 2 more songs. Killing Joke 80s is in that episode, probably my favorite track on on the pilot, and also they end it with The Damned's Melody Lee, and it's just such a great song to kind of come out of.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I think that does it for this review.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Short and sweet, but stay tuned. We're going to do another one for episode 2, and so on and so on and so on. And hit that subscribe button, like this video if you like it, and leave us a comment. Tell us what you think.